The neighborhood had always felt like a quiet retreat, just the gentle rustle of wind through the trees and birds chirping in the distance. But all that calm shattered the moment Karen Westfield decided she had the right to take my Corvette away from me. The sound of her shouting across my yard that day is something that'll stay burned into my memory. But let me backtrack a bit. It all started on one of those perfect Sunday mornings. The kind where everything just feels right. I stepped out of my house to admire my freshly polished Corvette, a cherry red Stingray I had spent the entire morning detailing. 3 hours of meticulous work, and it glistened in the sunlight like a trophy. I had just finished wiping the hood when I spotted her storming across the street, her arms tightly crossed and that all-too-familiar scowl stamped on her face. She stopped right in front of me, planting herself between me and the car. "I need the keys to that vehicle," she demanded, holding out her hand like I was just going to surrender them without a word. I blinked, caught between disbelief and confusion. "Karen, what are you talking about? That's my brother's car," she snapped. "And I don't know how you got it, but unless you hand over those keys right now, I'm calling the police." It was such a bizarre accusation. I half wondered if she'd lost her grip on reality. I calmly told her that the car belonged to me, purchased legally and proudly. But she wasn't interested in explanations. She stood her ground like a self-appointed sheriff. Sure enough, the police did show up. But not for me. Just 3 months earlier, I had moved into Oakwood Estates. After years of long hours and saving every spare cent, I'd finally bought my dream home in what I thought was a quiet, upscale community. And with it, I had brought my dream car, a Corvette Stingray I'd wanted since I was 16, thumbing through auto magazines at the back of the school library. What I didn't expect was the hostile reception my car would receive from the Homeowners Association. Or more specifically, from Karen Westfield, the HOA president with a personal vendetta against anything that didn't meet her rigid idea of what the neighborhood should look like. From the beginning, she made it known that my Corvette was a problem. First came the sugar-coated notes about neighborhood harmony and visual consistency. Then came the not-so-subtle digs. "That's a bit bright, don't you think?" she'd say with a fake smile. "Most of us prefer something a little less flashy." I smiled back politely while secretly wondering how many times I could rev the engine in front of her house without technically breaking a rule. Things escalated fast. She started leaving brightly colored violation notices on my windshield. One called the car inappropriately eye-catching. Another warned that it disturbed the peace of the community. I studied the HOA bylaws thoroughly. Nowhere did it say anything about vehicle color or brand. The rules were about parking and maintenance, not style. At the next HOA meeting, I brought this up. Karen brushed me off with a dismissive wave. "The board has the right to interpret the guidelines as necessary for the good of the neighborhood," she said, clearly enjoying the power trip. The real drama began when I upgraded the exhaust. I chose a system that was sleek but still within noise limits. No obnoxious roar, just a deeper purr. But even that set her off. The next day, I found her crouched near my driveway, taking photos of my car like she was building a case file. She rang my doorbell not long after. "Your car is now violating our community's noise policies," she announced. "If you don't remove that exhaust within 48 hours, I'll have it towed." I told her, calmly and clearly, that my upgrade met all legal requirements and didn't exceed city noise levels. Her response? "This isn't about the city. It's about our standards. And I decide those." I thanked her and closed the door. Then I went straight to install a security camera aimed at my driveway. Good thing I did. Over the next 2 weeks, her efforts intensified. She sent out emails shaming disruptive vehicles, hinting directly at mine. She tried to rally the HOA board to adopt new vehicular appearance standards. When that failed, she took it upon herself to start measuring the space between my car and the curb with a tape measure, hoping, I guess, to catch me in a parking violation. When I asked what she was doing, she smirked. "Just doing my job. We have to keep things in order." The next day, I found a notice on my front door accusing my Corvette of leaking fluids onto the driveway. Total lie. I took photos of the spotless concrete and sent them to the board before she could file a formal complaint. And then came the moment everything boiled over. That Sunday morning, I was outside giving my car a final polish when she barged across the street. Furious. She stood there, yelling that the car had been stolen from her family, and that I had no right to it. She actually believed she could take it from me. When I refused, she dialed the police. But by the time they arrived, my camera had already recorded her bizarre behavior. I calmly showed the footage, the purchase documents, and the email trail of her harassment. The officers, to their credit, didn't take long to piece it all together. Karen didn't get my keys, but she did get a formal warning. And now, my Corvette still gleams in the driveway. Quiet, unbothered, and completely legal. It started like any other quiet weekend morning. The kind where the sound of rustling leaves and the distant bark of dogs is all you hear. I had just finished admiring the sleek curves of my Corvette, the sunlight bouncing off its freshly waxed surface, when I noticed someone marching toward me with alarming determination. It was Karen from across the street. Her posture was rigid, her pace brisk, and her eyes locked onto me like a missile. Several neighbors who were out walking their dogs or checking their mail slowed down, sensing something was about to unfold. Karen came to a stop right in front of my car, arms crossed in front of her chest, blocking my path like a self-appointed enforcer. "I'm done playing games," she declared, raising her voice so the whole block could hear. "That Corvette belongs to my brother, and I want the keys now." For a second, I was too stunned to respond. Her tone was laced with emotion, but it felt oddly performative, like she was auditioning for a courtroom drama. "What are you talking about?" I finally asked. "I bought this car brand new 3 years ago." "Don't lie," she screamed, pointing at the custom license plate frame. "That's Robert's car. Same make, same model, same exact frame. He passed away last month and the car vanished. You stole it." By now, several phones were discreetly recording, neighbors inching closer, intrigued. I stayed calm and reached for my phone. "Karen, I'm sorry for your loss, but this is my car. I have all the documentation." Before I could pull anything up, she lunged at me, trying to snatch the keys from my hand. "Give them to me. That vehicle is part of my family's estate." I instinctively stepped back, holding the keys away. Her face twisted with fury. "You think you can just move into this neighborhood and get away with theft? You're a criminal." "This is enough," I said firmly. "I'm calling the police." "You don't have to," she said smugly. "I already did. I reported you for grand theft auto. They'll be here any second." Right then, sirens pierced the air in the distance, growing louder. 2 patrol cars turned onto our street and came to a stop in front of my house. 3 officers stepped out, clearly puzzled by the commotion. Karen rushed over to them, pointing at me and my car. "There he is. That's the thief. He took my brother's Corvette. I've got the spare key and everything at home. He probably hot-wired it." The lead officer, a composed woman in uniform, asked us both to remain where we were. She approached me and said, "Sir, can you prove that you own this vehicle?" "Absolutely," I replied, unlocking my phone and pulling up my vehicle records. "Here's the title, registration, insurance, and the bill of sale." I handed her my phone. My name was clearly listed across all the documents. "I also have the hard copies if needed," I added. She nodded, and I went inside to grab the paperwork from my home office, including the original purchase contract. While I presented everything, Karen was growing visibly agitated. "That's all fake," she shouted. "He must have doctored it all. Just run the VIN. It'll match Robert's car." The officers did. They checked the VIN and cross-referenced it with their database. "Ma'am, this vehicle is registered to him. It's been in his name for 3 years." Karen's confidence wavered. "You need to come to my house," she said quickly. "I have pictures of my brother with this car. It's identical, everything matches." "Ma'am," one officer responded, "even if your brother had the same car, it doesn't make this one his." Her face turned red. "You're not listening. He faked everything. That's Robert's car." Then, without warning, she lunged at me again, grabbing at the keys now tucked into my front pocket. She managed to rip the edge of the fabric. That was it. The officers immediately stepped in and restrained her. The lead officer spoke firmly. "Ma'am, you are under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted theft, and assault." They read her rights while she thrashed and shouted, disbelief etched into her face. "You can't do this. I'm the HOA president. I was just protecting my family's property." That same afternoon, I learned she had been officially charged. Multiple witnesses and video recordings left no room for doubt. The real twist came during the investigation. There was no brother named Robert. She had made the entire story up. Bail was set at $25,000, and a restraining order was granted to keep her away from me and my property. An emergency vote ousted her from her role as HOA president. Her employer, a respected real estate agency, placed her on immediate unpaid leave. When footage of her meltdown aired on the local news, her professional standing crumbled overnight. At the sentencing 3 months later, her high-priced attorney tried to blame her actions on a mental health episode. The judge didn't buy it. Karen was sentenced to 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, and fined $5,000 along with court fees. As the bailiff led her out of the courtroom, she still looked stunned, as if it had never occurred to her that lies, entitlement, and false accusations could actually lead to consequences.